Good morning, good morning. Thank you everybody for being here with us this morning. And for all of my colleagues and comrades that stand in solidarity. Legal aid, 19 officers, public advocate, Latino justice, vote for New York freedom agenda, League of Women Voting, Alliance of Families for Justice, Police Reform Organizing Project, and All Solidarity Campaign. My name is Victor Pate, a member of the New York City Voting and Jails Coalition. We are here this morning to demand that the BOE open at least one early voting location on Rikers Island. According to New York law, all voters should have equal access to early voting. The law states that polling places for early voting should be located so that voters in the county have adequate and equitable access. More than 90% of the incarcerated population at Rikers Island is eligible to vote, including individuals held their pre-trial awaiting parole hearing and those who are serving time for misdemeanor. We need the DOE to follow the law and offer voting access at Rikers for each election. Only then can we definitively assert that those incarcerated in New York City jail have been ensured their fundamental constitutional right to vote and full participatory access to opportunities to be civically engaged and cast their vote. There is no reason why there should not be a polling site in Rikers Island to give our eligible human beings and fellow citizens full access to a full process of voting. There is no reason to live here to demand that the help this and implement and make this acceptable. And so with that, I will turn it over to my next colleague who will hear from each of you in the lines of families and justice.
No peace for BOE will not silence me.
No peace for BOE will not silence me.
Peace and blessings. We are grateful to be gathered here today. On behalf of the New York City Vote in Jails Coalition, we would first like to send our condolences to the families of the 18th person who has died yesterday on Rikers Island. Rikers Island is a death island, and it is unsafe for anyone to be there. Rikers Island needs to be closed now. Right. Close Rikers Island. Stop holding it off. Close Death Island. On behalf of the New York City Vote in Jails Coalition, we are here to fight for our community, our constituents that help make us a whole. Our people in New York City jails have the right to vote. There are greater than 90% of our people held in New York City jails votes are being withheld from them, basically. There is no sugarcoating it. This has purposely been done. Their charge has nothing to do with their right to vote. Nothing at all. It helps make up the numbers for the household. For the children in the household who are too young to vote. For those that are in jails with felonies whose right to vote has been stripped from them. We rely on our families, our constituents in New York City jails to make up our vote so that our communities can give of ensuring that no citizen within the New York State right to vote is being taken away from them. Early voting access should be accessible to every voter. And these are our citizens that are in New York City jails. Stop hindering their vote. Allow early voting access to our community incarcerated. All equal opportunity should be given to them because it is their right by law. Do not hinder our votes. The Board of Elections, we need an early polling site on Rikers Island so that everyone has the equal right to vote. We need a polling site on Rikers Island for every constituent so that they have the equal right to vote. Community, stand up and make this happen. Support us. We are in New York City jails every month to make sure that our constituents are able to vote. To our community incarcerated, demand that you have access to vote, and we will be there to make it happen. Thank you. No polling site on Rikers Island is silent violence.
No polling site on Rikers Island is silent violence. No polling site on Rikers Island is silent violence. No polling site on Rikers Island is silent violence.
Thank you. Thank you to Keisha. And I think that she said a lot. And when she says that there should be equal access, there should be equal treatment. We should not separate the population from people that are incarcerated. They are still a part of our community. Although they do not live in the community, they are still a part of our community. Which means they should be having equal access to the voting process, should be able to participatory elections, even if they are incarcerated. We are supposed to be a society of equal rights. Equal rights should not stop because people are incarcerated or Rikers Island. That's why DOE must establish and implement a polling site on Rikers Island to make it true and fair and real, full access to the voting process. The next speaker I'd like to bring up is Amalia Rose from the Office of the Public Advocate. She is the Deputy Public Advocate in Civil Engagement.
All across the country right now, we see that democracy is under attack. We see that individuals, our community members who have been incarcerated, their rights, their voting rights have been under attack. We also know that the foundations of the way that this electoral system works has been built and deeply rooted in white supremacy. And if we're not aggressively attacking the roots of white supremacy in our voting structures, then we are complicitly agreeing to uphold them. We need access, equitable access to the ballot for people on Rikers Island and those who are our community members who are incarcerated. We know that almost 90% of people who are currently in pre-trial, who have not been convicted of a crime, who still have their right to vote, have been denied equitable access to the ballot. So we're here today at the Board of Elections to say do not silence their votes. Do not silence their votes. They are citizens of this country and they have the right to vote. And this coalition, Latino Justice, Legal Aid Society, and so many others will continue to uplift the demands of the people who are currently pre-trial in Rikers and city jails who have the right to vote. We need BOE to do something about this. We have an election coming up. We have big elections coming up next year, municipal elections in New York City, and we need change and we need it now. Thank you. with colleagues like Rikers as a public defender representing the people and the families on Rikers Island, representing the folks who, because of government neglect, because of disinvestment in communities, and because of the criminalization of black and brown folks, have found themselves caged and tortured on Rikers Island. And the path forward is big, bold structural change to our government institutions. And power does not just seed power. So we have to take it, and we do it through our ability and our constitutional right to vote. A constitutional right that is being denied to the folks who are being held in pretrial detention on Rikers Island. And I want to share a very brief story that I think illustrates how critical all of this is. It wasn't that long ago that we were out rallying because another person was killed in custody on Rikers Island. And we stood with the Taviras family, whose son died on Rikers. And I keep thinking about the story she told, about how the Department of Corrections told her son was dead. She said, I live in public housing. But this is a critical point of her story. I live in public housing. I'd spoken to my son 2 days before. He seemed hopeful. He thought he was going to get out soon, maybe a few weeks, get into a program. He seemed like he was going to be okay. And then 2 days later, she gets a knock on her door, several men in jackets, and English is not her first language. And she lets them in. She goes, I thought they were housing. I've been making all of these complaints about things that have not been fixed in my apartment, all of these open tickets, and I thought maybe, just maybe, today was the day that they were going to come in and they were going to fix my apartment. And instead, they walked in and they told her that her son was dead. And the connection between those two things, between a family where the government has failed to provide safe, stable, clean, healthy housing, to the same government that jailed her son for having mental health issues and ultimately killed him, that connection is deliberate, it's intentional, and we all have to understand that. And so to get this kinds of systemic changes we need the people, right, who are experiencing these things, know what the problems are, know what the solutions are, to show them in the ballot box. They have to be able to vote. We will not solve mass incarceration if the people most directly affected by it are denied their ability to vote. If we want to see a safer, healthier city, if we want more people housed, if we want access to health care, you actually have to provide a means to voting for the folks that have borne the brunt of the violence and failures of our government. Like I said, power doesn't seek power. Elected officials don't respond to anything other than who is responsible for getting them in office. So we have to make sure that the people on Rikers Island who are presumed innocent, who are, again, victims of governmental violence, have the ability to change the trajectory and the power structures in our city, because I guarantee you, if they are, we will be safer and healthier for it. So that's why we're here.
No vote, no peace, the BOE will not silence me. No vote, no peace, the BOE will not silence me.
No vote, no peace, the BOE will not silence me. No vote, no peace, the BOE will not silence me.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm a taxpayer constituent. I was also a black town. I'm saying that not having a voice in the political process, continuation, disenfranchisement, slavery, and Jim Crowism. And it continues till today. Let us not forget that the way to keep people out of the participation in things that relate to their lives is by denying them the access and the right to vote. This is a continuum of slavery and Jim Crowism. It needs to stop now. This is why the BOE needs to establish a permanent voting site and make full participatory opportunities available for our fellow beings that are incarcerated on the right to ballot. And the next person I'd like to bring up is William Freedom. Woo!
they have the bottom line. It's them that are responsible for enforcing that every citizen has the right to vote. Right? I'm a committed voter, and something happened to me 2 years ago when our presidential election, 2020. And what happened was that I was in Rikers for a little while, and it was just before election time. So what happened was, I was like, well, what do I do? How do I get it? How do I get a ballot? How do I get it submitted? There was zero assistance. Nobody knew anything. And then maybe 2 days before election day, all of a sudden things were posted all over the place. Nobody knew what to do. Everybody was confused, and there was nobody to turn to. Couldn't ask staff because the majority of staff were in direct contact with our security. So you couldn't ask staff, what do I do? Who do I write? So there was an issue. Nobody, and it was not just me, it was a lot of people. And take our vote serious because, like as was already mentioned, our vote is power. People don't realize how serious it is unless we don't have it. When we're on Rikers, presumed innocent, our vote is not taken from us. So therefore, we have that right. However, because there's no mechanism in place to facilitate that, again, thanks to BOE, it doesn't get done. There's a bunch of questions go up, no answers come out. So we wonder, okay, well, what do I do? Even if I'm able to get an absentee ballot, what do I do with it? Who do I send it to? Do I give it to the counselor? Do I give it to whoever? No answers again. So I attempted to call outside to find out what was going on. I found out, well, it has to be done a week to 2 weeks ahead of time. So there goes all those thousands and thousands of votes out the window. Because what most people don't realize is that the majority of people on Rikers are not sentenced. The majority of people on Rikers still have their vote and power. And the majority of people on Rikers get denied that power. Why? Again, to systemic issues. We already spoke about the political mechanisms that are in place that intentionally deny our power. It's the power to the community, not necessarily to those individuals. Those individuals are merely parts of our overall community. And that's what's important. What's important is that we need to know that we're being denied this right. We need to know that this power is being manipulated, and we need to know that this situation needs to change. Absentee ballots on Rikers, like I said, need to be put in ahead 2 weeks ahead. So even if we got the ballots, the time is so short that it would never get counted. The system for voting from jail was so complicated that no one was available also to clarify any questions that we had, which I believe I mentioned already. So the problem again is that the docs, first of all, can't even do their own job. So for BOE to say, okay, well, we'll place this in the hands of the Department of Corrections so they can supervise it, makes zero sense. Because if they can't even get people to medical treatment, they can't get them to proper counseling, they can't deal with mental health issues, why would they even want to facilitate our power? They won't. So that's why it's important that that BOE directly oversee and implement something where they're in charge, where they collect the ballots, where they have a polling site, someone that is supervised by them to facilitate this so that it can actually get done and that our vote will count. And with that, I'd just like to say thank you and good morning to everyone.
My vote is my choice. You will not hinder my voice.
My vote is my choice. You will not hinder my voice. My vote is my choice. You will not hinder my voice. My vote is my choice. You will not hinder my voice.
Thank you. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, everybody. And last but surely not least, one of my colleagues,
them outside too much. Most of the time we're on Zoom. And just so feels so good to have him here, so powerful to have him here to be with us, and for also for him to play our voice to our cause and our purpose. The one and only Anthony Cruzado, supervising attorney, Legal Aid Society. The history of disenfranchisement is deeply rooted in the history of slavery. And the Board of Elections continues to perpetuate this history when it refuses to provide equitable voting access to the thousands of people on Rikers Island who are eligible to vote. Let's be absolutely clear. While we mourn the losses of people who have been killed on Rikers Island and we call for it to be closed, we know that the problems and the abuses that it is plagued with are not an accident. It is by design. It is also by design that the Board of Election refuses to end this cycle of voter suppression. They have ignored our letters. They have refused to engage with us. And what have they told us? That they are delegating this to the Department of Corrections. And we know that that's not true. We know that what that means is that it continues this de facto disenfranchisement. The Board of Election has an opportunity to correct this wrong. They can install a polling site on Rikers Island, and they can do so now. We demand that they put a polling site on Rikers Island, and we will not stop until they do so. La Junta de Elecciones tiene el poder para que las personas que están en Rikers Island, que son elegibles para votar, puedan poner sus votos de una manera digna y respetuosa. Lo que sucede actualmente es que se quedan sin poder poner sus votos. Las miles de personas que están en Rikers Island ahorita son elegibles para votar. Y es injusto que la Junta de Elecciones no haya querido responder ni hablar con nosotros para cambiar este sistema. Deben de cambiar este ciclo para que las personas no se queden sin poder poner sus votos mientras que están encarceladas en Rikers Island. Y deben de hacer eso ahora mismo. Thank you.
Don't surrender your vote.
Don't
Surrender your vote. Do not surrender your vote.
Do not surrender your vote. Do not surrender your vote. Do not surrender your vote. Do not surrender your vote. Do not surrender your vote. Do not surrender your vote. Do not surrender your vote.
Okay, thank you everybody. I think we're at the end of our program. We've heard our demand, we've heard our people. We want something to happen. We're not just coming here just as a show. We're coming to stand. Like I say, I'm a taxpayer and I'm a voter. You work for me. I demand you do what I ask of you, and I demand that you provide for those that are no longer in our community but are still a part of our community. And with that I'm saying is that DOE, you have a responsibility to the citizens, you have a responsibility to the people that are currently detained on Rikers Island, you have a moral responsibility to making true and fair access to a full participatory civic engagement and access to the full vote, as you say in the law, that this should be a place for people to have early voting site, and access to the ballot box, regardless of where they currently may be situated, and regardless of their current circumstances, they are still part of our community within another community. Provide for access to the ballot box. Thank you.
No peace, the BOE will not silence me.
No peace. The BOE will not silence me. No vote. No peace. The BOE will not silence me. No vote. No peace, the BOE will not silence me.
No vote.
No peace, the BOE will not silence me. No vote. No peace, the BOE will not silence me. No vote. No peace, the BOE will not silence me. No vote. No peace, the BOE will not silence me.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.